guys, well, we made it. We made it the 12 weeks throughout the entire challenge. This was my plant-based, well, I guess it was more of a vegan challenge because really the three things that I avoided for 3 months were gluten, dairy, and meat. So basically all animal products and dairy and gluten. So we made it through. If you saw last week's video, then you'll know I had COVID. I'm a week out from that, which does make a difference. I think the biggest part of COVID that's been so hard for me is the fatigue, because I normally have a lot of energy. I mean, like a lot of energy. I would go for 3, 4, 5 miles in the morning on my run, doing interval workouts and everything and going on bike rides and all that stuff. And the hardest part has been the fatigue. It was a big deal that I walked 1.75 miles yesterday on the treadmill, because over the weekend I went for a walk in my neighborhood and I got about a quarter of a mile away from my house and I felt like I was gonna pass out. I mean, I didn't know if I was gonna make it home or not. I had my phone on me, like ready to call my husband, and I'm just sitting there going, no, just slow down to a geriatric walk, basically, which is what I was doing, was a geriatric walk. Like I was 95 years old out for a walk. And I made it home and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just stick to the treadmill with my walks until I get back to feeling comfortable because before I would go on, that's how I would push myself. I'd get far away from the house and I'm like, well, I don't have a choice. I have to make it back. But when you're recovering from COVID and the fatigue ain't no joke. I mean, it is, that's what got me the most. I did have some sinus pressure and congestion and some headaches, a little bit of cough went into my chest, and I still have a little bit of a cough. It's not bad. Overall, it has not been fun. I will say that, it has not been fun, but I feel like I'm on the upswing of it. Now, what's next? Well, first of all, I am doing my very first triathlon in 5 weeks. 5 weeks from tomorrow, which I am a little concerned about as far as my aerobic capacity, at this point, with the endurance, because my endurance before I had COVID was pretty good, and so this has set me back. I don't know how long yet. I'm still just taking it day by day. We're gonna see how it goes. So today I'm just gonna do some yoga. I had physical therapy for my neck, and so that was a little bit of exercise, and I'll work on the yoga today. But doing a triathlon, I'm excited about this. I've started working with a trainer and I've been in touch with him, letting him know, with COVID and the fatigue, and I'm just trying to I don't want him to feel like I'm a slacker and I'm avoiding my workouts, because I am definitely doing something and it's driving me crazy because I want to jump back in. But each day it is getting a little bit better. Progress over perfection. One of the things that I've really noticed is that when you start to feel good, you get away from the dark side of not feeling good, and you feel good, and then you get sick, and it's like the rug has been ripped out underneath you. I mean, it's insane. I didn't realize how important it was that I felt as good as I did until I got sick and all of that was taken away. And that's got me thinking. Scary thought, I know. But before I started taking care of myself and felt as good as I did, it was like I was just kind of surrounded in a cloud. So whenever I got sick, I was already used to not feeling all that good anyway. So when I got sick, it wasn't that big of a deal, right? But then once you get out of that and you start to feel good and your quality of life improves, just because you feel so much better, it's just this huge realization of, oh my gosh, I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to feeling like I'm a zombie on a daily basis and I have to fuel up with 40 cups of coffee and loads of sugar. Although I will say, I do love having my coffee in the morning, but I do just have 1 cup. And I don't even have it every day during the week. Usually I'll have a cup of coffee 3 or 4 days a week, because I have noticed if I take in too much caffeine, then it affects my sleep and my anxiety and depression. Speaking of anxiety and depression, I have dealt with these for 30 years, over 30 years. And exercise is my best medicine for my mental and emotional health. And I cannot stress this to you enough, how much of an impact this makes on my life. And once I had gotten out of that cloud, out of that fog, that mental fog, that just feeling lost and hopeless, and once I got out of that and I started to feel good again, I didn't realize that I was out of that cloud until I was thrown back in it. You know, the first few days of being sick, you don't have a choice. You know, it's just the fatigue, you gotta rest. I'm gonna watch some movies. I was catching up on all these movies that I haven't seen, and it was great for a couple of days, but then it started to settle in with the anxiety and the depression. I could feel them creeping up, and the negative thoughts and just everything that I had experienced before I started to feel better again, all of it was coming back. And this is one thing that my husband and I have discussed so much when it comes to exercise. He says, I can tell when you're exercising because you feel so much better, you know, mentally and emotionally. It's such a big shift. And when you're that close with someone that you live with and they notice, and then I started to notice, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I mean, this was the best medicine I've ever taken. And I've taken several different medicines that ended up having side effects of having panic attacks and going to the ER from a panic attack because I thought something was wrong with my heart. Now that's scary. But exercise literally has been my best medicine for anxiety and depression. And yesterday my family was just asking, well, now that you've gotten through your challenge, now what? What are you gonna do? And I thought about it, you know, like, so I'm gonna live my life according to the 90-10 rule. If you've never heard of the 90-10 rule, it's 90% of the time I'm going to eat healthy. 10% of the time, that's wiggle room for splurging. And what does that mean? That means nothing is off limits 10% of the time. And I'm not going to sit there and write down, okay, I've had this many meals in this week, and this is how many cheat meals I can have, or this is how, you know, this is a lifestyle. This is not a fad diet. This is not a quick fix. This is a lifestyle. I feel so much better that I don't want to go back to the old habits, but I still want to be able to enjoy a hot ham and Swiss from now and then, you know? And that's a random craving. I remember when I was pregnant both times, I did not eat deli meat because I was scared, you know, didn't want to take any chances of listeria. And that was one of the first things that I ate both times after I had given birth was a hot ham and Swiss. Well, now, after I'm done with my 12 weeks, there are two things that keep crossing, they're floating into my mind. A hot ham and Swiss and shrimp. I want some shrimp so bad I can't stand it. Now that doesn't mean I'm gonna go back to eating this all the time. It just means I'm gonna have it on occasion. I'm not gonna deny myself. One of the things that I wanted to talk about most was a type of food that affects my body that I've known for over 15 years that it has affected my body the way that it does. I used to get chronic sinus infections. We're talking 4 to 6 times a year. I'd get a cold, it'd turn into a sinus infection, it'd turn into bronchitis. I had to get on antibiotics every single time. The congestion was so bad that I would lay in bed just paranoid. Man, if somebody came up and put a piece of tape over my mouth, I would suffocate because I literally could not breathe through my nose at all. And the pain just in my face and through my ears and ear infections, it was a chronic issue that I could not get rid of. Since I cut dairy down significantly, even when I get a sinus infection, there have been times I've had a sinus infection, I didn't even know it, and it went away on its own because I felt the pressure and the pain in my sinuses, but I could breathe. I could still breathe through my nose. And another issue that I had was ocular migraines. And if you don't know what an ocular migraine is, a migraine is a really bad headache, but an ocular migraine is when you lose half of your vision. Your vision is affected by it. And I've had these for 30 years. One of the things that I have noticed since I cut out dairy was once I started losing, all of that pressure and congestion and everything, I even got to the point where there was I was starting to feel numbness on the left side of my face. Guess what came along with that? Ocular migraine. So when I cut those out and my sinuses had cleared up and gotten so much better, I haven't had an ocular migraine in over 1.5 years. So it's all connected. So now on the occasion, whenever I do have dairy, as long as I don't have it too much, it's not an allergy. I'm sensitive to it, but it's not an allergy. I'm not going to go into anaphylactic shock from eating dairy. But I do notice I have some digestive upset, a little bit of bloating, a little bit of discomfort, and usually the next day I'll wake up with a little bit of sinus congestion that wasn't there before. And the same thing goes with my daughter. She's had allergy issues, and I remember we put her on medicine. Medicine did not do anything, and I was like, all right, here's what we gonna try. So for 1 week, we took her off dairy completely, and her allergies cleared up. Cleared up. And now that we know that about her, and this is one thing that I'm trying to teach my kids, is how different types of food affect their bodies. So now she knows, and she's almost 12 years old, she knows now, okay, well, my allergies are bothering me, or I've got a cold and I'm really stuffed up, I'm gonna cut down on the dairy. And I don't cut it out completely, I just say, well, let's cut down. Let's be a little more aware. Again, this is a lifestyle, this is not a fad diet. And I've heard so many people make changes at first, and it's just to lose, 5, 10, 20, 30 pounds, however much they want to lose, and then they go back to their old habits, and then they pack on all of the weight and have all of the health issues and everything that they had before. That's not a lifestyle change. And whenever you shift your lifestyle, it's hard at first whenever you're changing your habits. And this comes with anything in life. But once you get over that shift of the lifestyle change and it becomes the norm, your quality of life improves. And my dad has always said this, well, I don't want to change my quality of life, because if I can't eat such and such, then if I can't eat my beanie weenies, then that's hurting the quality of my life. But once you change your habits, your cravings change. I crave vegetable sushi now and big old salads, whereas before, I'd be craving a cheeseburger. So once you get over that hump of changing your lifestyle, it's easy, and the weight coming off is a perk. It's just a perk when you feel so much better. And that's why I'm so often asked, if you could give some advice, what would you say? And I would say, make small changes, because the end game is about consistency. So to summarize what my lifestyle is going to be like from now on, well, first of all, we got the 4 pillars of health. We've got sleep, exercise, nutrition, and stress management. And when you have all 4 of those in alignment, that's true health. And now that I've gotten used to exercising and I'm training for certain events, I've got my first triathlon coming up on August 20th, and I am excited about that, but at the same time, I'm a little nervous. But in the meantime, I will continue to exercise because I feel so much better. And when it comes to nutrition, nothing is off limits, but I'm going to eat healthy most of the time because I feel so much better. I used to crave Pop-Tarts for breakfast. Now I'm completely in love with my scones that I make, or the banana oatmeal breakfast bars that I make. My cravings have shifted and changed, and I want different types of food now. So if all you want is cheeseburgers and french fries all the time, that doesn't mean that you can't shift. It takes work, but it is worth it. I'm getting off track. Shocker. So I'm going to exercise regularly. My lifestyle is regular exercise, eating healthy 90% of the time, making sure I get good sleep, stress management, but I can tell you right now, your stress will decrease if you are sleeping well, exercising, and eating healthy. Your stress will decrease just from those 3 things, and they all go together. However, you can't be healthy if you're in a super toxic relationship or you're in a toxic work environment, because that stress is going to weigh you down no matter what you do. I'm also going to continue with doing intermittent fasting. What does that mean for me? That means a daily fast of anywhere from 14 to 18 hours. And it varies from day to day. Some days I do an 18-hour fast, but most days it's around 14 hours. But now the challenge is up, and I look forward to keep on trucking. And my computer is fixed now, so I'll be able to start sharing more of the cooking videos that was on hiatus for a few weeks. Actually, it was more than a few weeks. It was like well over a month, and I couldn't even post any videos. Well, cooking videos. Anyway, that's back up and running, and I cannot wait to share with you a big home renovation project that we just finished up, or they're actually doing the last touches, the final touches on it right now. Cannot wait to show you before and after. So keep your eyes peeled within the next couple of weeks for that video. But the next video that I am going to share is my vegan mac and cheese, and I cannot tell you how addicted I am to this stuff. I crave it. I crave this vegan mac and cheese now, made with brown rice pasta. I would pick that over the regular stuff any day of the week now because my palate has changed. I love it so much, and I feel so good whenever I eat it. So stay tuned for future videos, cooking, health, training, triathlons. And later in the year, my husband and I are running our first half marathon. If you've done any triathlons or long distance training, please, tips and advice are welcome. That wraps it up for today. I'll see you next time.